Hello and welcome to another episode of Bollywood Uncovered with me, Haroon Rashid. Today's episode is called Spilling the Tea. So I hope a lot of tea is going to get spilt today because this episode is not just with two very well-known journalists, but a YouTube sensation as well. Please welcome Pink Villa's Nayandeep Rakshit. I have Mostly Sane, aka YouTube sensation Prajakta Koli, and I have Press Trust of India even, journalist Justin Rao. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
What I want to talk to you about is how Bollywood and the role of journalists in Bollywood and the role of YouTubers in Bollywood has evolved so dramatically over the last 10 years. Nayandeep, just before we began, I was saying to you that I remember you from 5 years ago when I first came to Mumbai. We didn't know each other very well then, but I saw this really young, excited boy on this backstage at this trailer launch who knew everybody. Man, you name it, whether it was a makeup artist or a spot boy or a manager or a publicist, you knew them.
Basically, people think that my journey started when I was in Bombay. I came to Mumbai in 2014 and I was a student journalist. So yeah, it started back then. So as a kid, I would run and it was easy, you know. Sub actors, they will come and they'll promote and I'll be this one kid standing out in a crowd because they're like, cute hai.
I knew that's what you did. I knew it.
And that's how I got my way to Bombay. And then, of course, by the time I was in Bombay, I knew few of them. Now I think I know most of them.
Prajakta, your journey is really interesting because you are first and foremost a content creator. You are a very successful YouTuber. As I mentioned earlier, you have nearly 5 million followers or subscribers on YouTube, over 1.8 million followers on Instagram. Is that the right term? Followers on Instagram?
Yes.
It gets confusing with all these social media platforms. But you're here because more and more recently, I've seen you pop up in videos with Bollywood stars. Bollywood is using your platform, your reach, your very hard-working fame that you've built up to market themselves and market their movies, to pocket more kind of business themselves.
So there's a lot of times when there are offers for these movie promotions that come our way when we can tell that, okay, this is a conversation where they only care about the numbers that we have. And I don't believe in the content that they're selling. But for all the movie promotions that I have done, those are movies or those are stars that I have followed or those are people that I have looked up to. These are also, if you see all the conversations, there's hardly anything like, it's not only around the movie. If it is a conversation, I remember this conversation I had with Nawazuddin Siddiqui. It was all around how not to give up and how to hold on to whatever it is you're doing and going through ups and downs. And then we spoke about the movie in the end. So for me, these conversations matter much more. So that's my takeaway from this. So even if they come to me because they want to reach out to the numbers that I have, I also gain a lot from it. So for me, it's more of a collaboration than letting them use my platform for impact.
And Mr. Justin Rao, the man who dared to confront Kangana Ranaut in a full room of journalists and press and her co-star and her director and her producer, who dared to say to her, show me the screenshots. The man who dared to say to her, I never had lunch with you. Justin Rao, welcome to the show.
I'm so glad you served me lunch.
So let's get straight into that, right? Because you were an overnight sensation. You were at a press conference for Judgmental Hai Kya, and Kangana, before you could even ask a question, Kangana decided to say to you that you have what was the word she said? What was the word she used? Tum to badi ghatiya khabare.
I think she said something on the lines that तुम्हारी सोच बड़ी घटिया है, कहाँ से लिखते हो, कहाँ से
घटिया चीजें लिखते
बड़ी
हो.
बड़ी घटिया
She knows it.
Because I was just like, what is happening?
She said that.
So as a journalist, when you're doing your job and all of a sudden you're at an event in a very professional capacity and a star turns on you like that, what's going through your mind and how do you handle that situation?
To be honest, I got triggered when she said तुम्हारी सोच बहुत घटिया है, because I think if you're calling someone सोच घटिया, it's a personal attack. You can call my question घटिया, which would have been a professional attack. When you attack my personality, you attack my mentality maybe. And I hope it does happen to a lot of people going forward. And I'm not saying this in a way that you all face what I face, but because it just exposes the powerful people, right? It just exposes how they are when they're confronted. And I think that's very important. The way I behaved is the way I am even otherwise. To me, it did not take a lot of effort to be a certain way just because there were 30 cameras monitoring what was happening.
I've also had shout-outs, not shout-outs in a way, I'm saying it's shoot-outs. I faced it with one of those actors who actually has the perception of a really good person,
I
decent
know.
person. And you were
Who is
there.
that?
as
I was there.
Dhanush.
What?
Yes. Imagine I have asked him almost 10 questions about his film, including how was it working with Kajol. He said, go ask Kajol. My 10 questions about his film was over in 2.5 minutes. Now, as a journalist, I had an option or a choice to leave in 2.5 minutes or make sure that he doesn't feel that there was no conversation, and I carried on with the conversation with questions that came to my mind at the impromptu.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So after a point, and I think there was a controversy that was happening back then with
Yeah.
that whole something leaks and all. So I didn't ask about that. His sister had actually sent out a very emotional letter where she said that it affected the family a lot. And I just told him that, it's fine, you have signed up for it because you're an actor, but when it comes to your family and it affects your family, does it bother you? He answered it. He didn't walk out like he did in another interview, like they showed me later. After the interview was over, he just tells me, so you do realize that we've come here to promote the movie? I said, yeah. He's like, you've not asked me a single question. And thankfully, his manager was sitting right there. I said, but Dhanush, and he said, wait, let me finish. And he was very rude and very, very curt. I said, okay, you have your day, you have your time, chalo bol lo. तो उन्होंने जो बोलना था बोल दिया कि ये नहीं हुआ, आपने सिर्फ इतने questions पूछे, क्यों ऐसा वैसा. So I said, you finish and let me know when you finish. So when he finished, I said, I had the list. I told him, did I ask you this? Did I ask you this? And the manager was sitting. I said, did I ask him this? Do you remember? She was like nodding. I said, these are 10 questions. You chose to answer them in 2.5 minutes. That's not my problem. And then I said that I'm sorry if you didn't like the interview. And he's like, no, I liked the interview. I said, you don't need to lie. It's fine. I didn't too.
But Justin, during that confrontation with Kangana, you use the word intimidating. Don't try and intimidate me
Yeah.
because you have a position of power. But aren't all actors, or aren't we as journalists, when we're really new and fresh starting out, aren't we all a little bit intimidated by the stars?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, I'm just 4.5 years into journalism, not unlike Nayandeep, who's been here since dinosaur.
Guess my age.
But you're right, Haroon. I remember attending one press conference with Salman Khan. This was for Race, I think.
Same press conference.
Race. So I think he was jailed briefly during that time. And I remember,
Was it for Race? It can't be for Race.
The one before Race.
Tube Light.
There's some film of Salman Khan where, it was a trailer launch, and I remember being there and I wanted to ask him about his jail term. And I was really shitting bricks in my pants because how do you ask Salman Khan about...
No, you did ask. It was
did
Race.
ask.
It was Race.
It was Race, right. So
Look
yeah.
at his memory.
Yeah, he was... So he had gone to jail for, I think, 3 or 4 days, if I'm not wrong. And there was a lot of trade pieces which were out that now what's going to happen to the next upcoming films of Salman Khan. Apparently some 500, 800 crores were riding on him.
I remember, yeah.
So my question which I wanted to ask him was, what really went on in your mind when you were jailed, considering the amount of money that's riding on you? And I remember sitting in that PC with Priyanka, who's now my wife. We got the mic and I held the mic, and I really wanted to either ask this or ask a very safe question because more than the star, I think it's the entourage which we were talking about that you're really scared of.
Yeah.
It can have really damaging effects to your career, especially when you're newbie, especially if you're coming from an organization which may not back you. I'm very privileged that I have PTI who's having my back.
True.
But imagine if I was from a very new upcoming digital streaming platform, I wouldn't have been able to ask that. And I remember taking that mic, still contemplating if I should ask Salman Khan about it, and I did. And I remember the MC...
You did?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
He did.
Oh, this is where it gets juicy. Okay.
I did. And I remember I was being stopped by the anchor, the MC. He said, you cannot ask. You cannot. And there were people who sort of stood up for me. I don't know why people stand up for me. I do all these things. But...
You've got goodwill.
Right. But then I did ask, and Salman did answer. He gave a one-line answer, which of course made headlines. I think Salman Khan was pretty cool answering that. And I want to give him full credit live
Yeah,
here.
he did.
He did answer. And that was it. I asked, he answered. But the people around him were sort of so finicky that, oh my
Chai se
God.
zyada
Yeah,
ketli.
I was...
Same. And I remember being told by so many people that, oh my God, aaj to kar liya, ab nahi. And I
So
thought,
that's what I'm saying. I feel like, when the whole intimidation part comes, it's not just the journalist or the creator and the actor, it's also our audiences. We are a country that's been worshipping Bollywood for years
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Like, there are temples of Rajnikant that you have in South India.
People get the day off work when Rajnikant's films release.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that's a lot of that's also where a lot of intimidation comes from, where, like you said, a lot of times you want to ask that question, but you are worried how is the audience going to take it, because you don't want to hurt bhai fan egos.
Imagine the
You
YouTube
don't want
comments
to.
that evening.
Yeah. So that's
Oh
what
my
I'm saying.
god, it was brutal.
Because then that is going to affect you eventually. So it's not always the stars or the people who are intimidating you. It's also your audience.
But isn't there like an element where you feel like you have to give up a certain amount of creative control? Or you tell me, but like when I watch, for example, your video with Kajol, where you do a skit where she plays if
mom.
mothers performed like
Yeah,
teenagers,
yeah.
right? Which I find really entertaining and it's so cool.
Yeah.
But obviously your skit had to be something to do with what
Yeah.
her movie was going to have to be about.
Yeah.
And also when you're dealing with celebrities and their entourages, isn't there an element of having to compromise your...
You know what the fun part is? There's this one saying in Mumbai that we say a lot. In Hindi, it's called chai se zyada ketli garam, which means that the kettle's hotter than the tea, literal meaning. So it's always the entourage and the managers who are difficult to get through to. But because these are creators, all these actors, they are creators and they know their art and they love their job. They are the funnest to work with, you know.
True.
Which is why I'm sure you guys go through that too. When you meet them,
Totally.
yeah, when we meet them, we're just like Kajol and I hit it off to a new level because
She's
she
too cool.
loved that I speak Marathi.
Right.
And she speaks Marathi. So the whole kick on of the whole episode was, oh my god, let's talk in Marathi. This is great fun. Also, she's very sporting.
Yeah.
And with every, luckily for me, I've not had any trouble with any of the actors that I've shot with. So when I used to do radio, I have met a lot of people who were so mean. I remember I was once recording an interview. Like I was recording an interview with this one star. And mid-interview, he made me run to Starbucks.
What?
Yeah, so I had to stop the interview. I had to go
Name
to
the
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
What?
I can't. I'm
Then
sorry.
Give us a clue. Can you
I
give us a clue?
can't. I
Say
can't.
it afterwards.
I will tell you later.
It's a
But
blind item, darling.
also because I was an intern, I used to report to a producer who used to produce the show of the radio jockey, who would eventually use this interview bites, mera awaaz kaat ke.
Yeah.
Oh, that also happens?
Yeah. That happens
Basically,
everywhere.
you do all the hard work and...
And then it's almost like, so I used to edit those interviews where if I've asked you, Nayandeep, how was it working with this director? And you say, it was amazing, I had a lot of fun. Then I cut my answer and it was amazing, you had a lot of fun is a clip that I play to my radio jockey. So the radio jockey goes, okay, so today we have Nayandeep on the show. Nayandeep, how was it working with this director?
Wow.
Play clip.
Wow.
And I've done a lot of these interviews where because they know that it's not my show and I'm not the radio jockey, I'm just an intern recording there. एक तो उनकी वहाँ पे ego hurt हो जाती है कि why is the radio jockey not recording my interview? Why is this intern recording my interview?
Oh my god, I have
Yeah.
a big story to tell.
Yeah. So then so a lot of people have been mean to me. And I know them. I'm someone who will remember a vibe. Like if you've been mean to me, I will never want to work with you again.
But has it happened that they've come back to you for work?
And then the movies have come and we have declined, saying I would have told my team that I don't want it. He wasn't a very nice person and I don't want to work.
Amazing.
Full power.
Guys, I
Give
love
her
it.
a hand,
This is so
please,
fun.
for this.
Thank you. Which is why everyone, I remember Ayushmann was the sweetest. Like, I had a massive crush on him after Vicky Donor, and I wasn't even recording, like, I wasn't even interviewing him. I was just sitting outside recording his interview, looking at him through the glass, and he winked at me. He smiled. I was like, we're in love. This is this is amazing. And now Ayushmann and I mean, we talk to each other when we meet each other.
You were
at
going to say
events.
you're friends.
I mean besties, but sure. Varun Dhawan was very sweet when I was an intern actually. I met him for the first time and he said, hey, hi. And I said, hi, I'm Prajakta. Of course, I know you, yaar. I said, I really appreciate it, but we've never met before. He's like, no, I know you. And I was like, which is his way of coping with which is a sweet thing to do.
Yeah, that's really
I was
sweet.
like, that's so cute, but we've not met, so you don't know me.
But you know, the hierarchy can be really intimidating. Even in Nayandeep would know when you attend trailer launches and when you attend group interviews and press conference, it's a very scary ball game, especially
Is
when
there a
you're new.
hierarchy?
Of course.
Okay,
Trailer
explain the
launch. It
hierarchy.
happens.
Just
So
It
I'll tell you because I've been new in this more than these two. I remember coming here and for the first 1 year being completely overwhelmed by what I was watching. I mean, here there were these senior star editors, then there were the lesser ones and then the lesser ones and the lesser ones, and the hierarchy works, Haroon, in a way that where the star editors are right at the front.
The star
Editors, yeah.
Editors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Across platforms, digital,
Yeah.
TV, and print, and right back are the cameramen.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's how the hierarchy is. The further you sit, the more popular, influential, or wanted you are at an event.
In the first 2 rows.
In the first 2
The
rows,
third
yeah.
row is for paparazzi,
Right.
for the pictures and the videos.
Yeah, and that's how it works. And I remember coming here to Bombay from Nagpur, small town, have this big idea of covering Bollywood. And I was so afraid to even sit on the 4th, 5th row because I thought this is not my place. That these are like all senior people. It took me, I think, 4 years to eventually reach the 4th or 5th seat.
But isn't it about controlling the narrative? Don't the PR and the managers want
Yeah.
to
Of
give
course
the
they do.
interviews to
Of
people
course
who
they
they
do.
know are going to be in a safe zone,
Oh,
who they
totally.
know aren't going to push the boundaries too much, who aren't going to challenge things? I mean, I
Of
watched
course.
Nayandeep,
Totally.
I
Of
watched your
course.
interview with Seth that you just
Yeah.
uploaded, and man, your second or third question was, so tell me about your divorce with Amrita Singh. I mean, that is not. He probably was not ready for that question at that
No,
point.
I think he probably was. His team wasn't. Or maybe even if his team wasn't, they didn't have the guts to come and tell me that.
But
you know
listen-
why? Because Saif is somebody who you can ask anything.
Yes, that is
I
what I
would
was coming
rather
to.
think
He's
about-
so much
yeah.
fun. My latest video with him. I've done 2 videos with Saif and I've done 1 episode with Kareena.
Yeah.
So between these 2 videos, I shot with Kareena, and the first video I shot with him the whole time. Also, he's very funny. He has
Yeah.
a very dry sense of humor.
He can
which I
take a
love.
joke at himself, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
So he kept maintaining, he's like, what is this bullshit content you shoot? What is this bullshit video you're shooting? And he shot the whole video with me. That video did well. So many people that I respect in the creator community came up to me and they're like, listen, your video with Saif. And I was like, yes, it's a winner. And then I shot with Kareena. So Kareena sent him a picture of us digging dirt. And then he said, like, what is this bullshit that you keep doing? Like, what is this? And then I met him again and then I told him that, you probably think that I make really bad content. And he was like, yeah, you make really bad content. And that's where I went. I said, but you should be okay with it. You did Hum Shakals. I said, but you too should be fine. And he was like, that's right. And then the whole tone of the interview changed, which is why I love filming videos with him where he's so bashful, but at the same time he takes jokes and he's damn cool.
The thing is that I would ask a tough question in a very different manner.
But do you have a
You
hold
will be
back?
playful
In
with it.
which-
No, I'll get
in
that
which-
vibe.
in which I know they will answer it. I'm telling you for a fact. If I have to ask, I have asked people questions about their divorce, marriage, people like that, and you're told you can't ask this, you can't ask that. And if you ask them in a different way, they will answer. Like you asked Salman. Salman will never have an issue because of the way he asked the question. This
I
is
think,
the
yeah.
problem. That if you are asking for headlines and they understand your intent, then they'll not answer it.
At what point in your careers do you feel like you have the ability to say no? To say, this is not what I'm about, this is not what I want to do.
As a creator, I think that I understand that there is a reason I want to do this collaboration, and I understand that there is a reason that they want this to be a collaboration at all in the first place, and I know that what I'm bringing to the table. If I am spending hours writing a concept and scripting it out and then sending it for approval, then it's a proper collaboration.
I did interview this one really top leading Bollywood star, and then I get to know that no, she'll not be talking to me because I'm a junior. I was really heartbroken. I thought, and I really used to respect her. I thought, okay, well, whatever. And I remember sitting there with my senior and this star in front of me, and I just did not feel like asking anything. I said, please take charge.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to pander your ego.
People really underestimate how much work is involved in this profession, and you included it as a content creator. Like, all people see is that finished interview at the end of the line. They have
True.
no idea.
No one talks about
how much-
transcribing.
how much chasing goes into actually fixing the interview, then how much pressure is on the actual logistics of filming it.
Bollywood journalists are never taken seriously. I mean, they are not even journalists. I come from a family where my father himself is a journalist, and he covers hardcore political journalist. And I remember when I first broke the news to him, it was very cool that, oh yeah, please be a film journalist. But people around him are like, what?
True.
Your son is going to cover Bollywood? Because it's not like, what do you
It's
cover
like
Bollywood,
trash.
right? We just write who's sleeping with who.
I feel like, see, again, the struggles are so different. For me, it's always, the struggle is not sorting the interviews out, because a lot of these...
They're coming to you.
which is, I am very
basically
grateful. I'm very grateful for that. I
But
feel
you
like...
deserve it.
But Prajakta, does it happen? Sorry.
No,
Harun,
please,
but
please.
does it happen that because you're a YouTuber, right? A social media creator. It's a very fairly new branch.
Yeah.
Do you have to explain to people what do you do?
All the time.
And how
Like
does that go?
When I started doing this, I remember everyone used to ask me, so what do you do? I said, I'm a YouTuber. They're like, no, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, for money? I said, yes, I am a YouTube content creator. So pehle to I couldn't explain it to people as to how this works, because then the whole, how does monetization work, what is AdSense, all of that happens, and
Yeah.
it's a very long conversation. I've said it too many times. So then I just like I used to look at age, what age the person is at and what sort of exposure they have, and I used to tell them accordingly. If it was like aunties, like really older aunties, I would just tell them that I work with YouTube.
Yeah.
And they'd be very happy. Oh, she works with Google. I said, oh, that's true.
You
I
feature
work.
on the YouTube ad, dude.
I was there, and then so a lot. Then later, I feel like now as a profession, because we have more and more creators coming on the platform, and it has become a thing. And my US visa reads occupation YouTuber.
Oh, wow.
It's as legit as it gets. So I feel like now it's an easier discussion. I still have people slightly asking me, so how much money you make every month? I said, just because I'm a YouTuber, it does not make it okay for you to ask me. Ask me how I make the money, how monies are generated on the platform. Don't ask me how much. For me, the struggle with interviews is always finding a conversation point which is not only around the movie.
Let's see it from how I see, for example, the trailer for your series. Pretty Fit, right? So when I saw the trailer for that, I'm like, how did Prajakta get Kareena Kapoor to go to the farm? Like, how does if I said to her manager, hey, I've got a great interview idea, I want to take Kareena Kapoor to the farm, no matter how good friends Nayandeep is with her,
I can't do it.
he's not getting her to the farm, I am not getting her to the farm, Justin is not getting her to the farm, but you can.
I'll tell you what, I feel like everyone understands that now everything is going digital.
Yeah.
Everyone understands that sabki aankhein na digital pe hai. Everyone's look there. That is where the younger audience is. That is where the newer audience is. And thanks to the whole geo revolution boom that has happened in our country 2 years ago, like there are places that you can't place on the map, but they'll have a full 4G connection running very well for them. So that has just increased your reach to places where TV is also not reached. Which is why now we have a lot of Bollywood stars doing podcasts. We have a lot of Bollywood stars coming up and doing web shows, and we have a lot of them coming on OTT platforms. We have them on net. Who thought that people would do movies for an internet platform? Only that. So it's a Netflix release, and we have the biggest of actors doing it right now. We have them on Prime, we have them on Hotstar, we have them on Z5. So I feel like we, as creators and as their teams, I feel like they understand that this is where all the eyeballs are right now. And I also think that is how I got her to go to the farm.
But the dynamic has changed, hasn't it? Like since the last time I came to Mumbai, which was 3 years ago, the dynamic has changed so much that YouTubers and celebrity interviews with YouTubers was just not a thing 3 years ago, right?
Influencer marketing wasn't a thing.
But is that a bit of a threat for you,
Of
Nayandeep?
course. Prajakta Koli, you're stealing me and robbing me of my job. Where will I be after 5 years? Honestly, can I be honest? I think with even actors starting their own YouTube channels today, they're also doing the same stuff that we do for Pink Villa or for Miss Malini or for whatever.
But aren't they trying to
Right.
cut journalists out of the
The
equation?
point is that if you're an actor and you have a channel of your own, and you're like doing a game, you're doing what you're cooking in your kitchen, or you're doing what's in my
I
bag
understand what
on,
bit
on,
you're
on
talking
your own channel. Why would you do that with a Pink Villa? I just don't get it. And also, like I said, that there are very few journalists from this generation who I feel will make the cut. And because the number is very few and far in between, what is happening today is that journalism somehow is going to cease to exist.
I am just making funny skit videos every Thursday, guys. Like and subscribe.
Just today I was talking to someone about what Nayandeep mentioned. I think journalism is not dying, it is dead.
Oh.
It is dead.
We're
trust me.
walking corpses, are we?
Yeah, totally. We are white walkers. We are in a stage where it's stagnant.
True.
It's completely. I don't know. I don't remember any great print story or any great online story that I read. I don't know. And this is Bollywood that I'm talking about. I remember her videos though, and I remember his videos, and I remember 2-3 other videos that I saw. I don't remember reading a story. I think it's worrying, and how it's worrying for people who want to write.
When it comes to a promo window of a film, there is time now set aside for content creators that earlier would have been set aside for journalists. So some films might do promo with the content creator but put aside the journalist completely. When you're at a space like that, how do you make sure you don't compromise on your journalism? Like, for example, I can either become more tame in my style of questioning, or I can give up that interview because they'd much rather go to somebody who they know they're going to get a secure audience from and isn't going to ask them anything controversial. How do you make sure you
That's
don't...
a fear factor that you deal with almost with every interview.
Every day.
It happens all the time. Like when you sit for interviews, you have to really sort of play with your stats. Like if I ask this particular star this question and if he does get pissed off, how is it going to hamper me? I mean, you have to really value your stakes all the time. You have to just gauge.
The PRs, suppose you're handling 15 other people and you've pissed off one actor who's their client. There are times when the PR will not even give time for the other 3 or the 4 who are big stars, and that happens.
But I think
and the point...
if you're there in a room to ask, you better ask. I mean, there's no other option.
Why are you a journalist then?
I remember this one incident where a young reporter, very, very feisty reporter, asked a question which made a male actor, a massive star, really uncomfortable because it got his truth out. I mean, as a journalist, I was chasing that one event where this actor comes. I'm going to take the mic and ask him. I missed that event, and this young reporter, out of the blue, in this bead of star editors and whatnot, goes and thrusts the microphone to the actor's face and he did ask that question. The actor's response sort of gave massive headlines, and that really got me so jealous and excited. I remember meeting the reporter the other day, and I went up to him and said, "Great, good job, you're so proud of you." And he told me, "Yeah, thank you, but I think I'm in trouble." I said, "Why?" He said, "My boss has called me like 20 times because the actor made phone calls to the editor."
Oh.
And he was scared for his job because he dared to ask that one question. So, Haroon, it's really about where you come from. I can sort of ask Salman Khan a tough, quote-unquote, tough question and get away and still talk about journalism here with you. But maybe that guy will never ask again.
Everybody has a different situation.
So that's where we are coming at, this culture of silencing. Like people will go on YouTube and watch that star's reaction, and maybe like lots of people on Twitter will share it that great.
Yeah.
But then no one gets to know what happened to the guy who dared to ask.
Finally then, I just want to ask very briefly, what's the one thing you'd like to see change in the relationship between you guys and your job role, so whether that's a journalist or a content creator or journalist, and the industry itself? What's the one thing that you'd like to see change?
I feel like one of the biggest changes that are already happening is the handshake between Bollywood and the digital medium. The fact that the fact that now they want to collaborate, the fact that now you have so much content which is where there's so much cross promotion happening. I feel like that is a massive change.
Justin?
Don't silence journalists and get a sense of humor. Really get a sense of humor. Don't be on that pedestal that you own the industry, and just because we are Bollywood journalists, we are
trash.
We are at your beck and call. We are not. And please get a sense of humor.
For the longest time, I feel that we have not been respected. Okay, our voices have been silenced because they feel that we don't have the experience or the age to speak. Tomorrow, if I'm at a power of position, if I'm an editor, whatever, etc., XYZ, and I'm 35 and I see a 21-year-old who's more talented, who's more informed and creative than me, I will not fear saying that he's better than me or she's better than me. I think today our senior journalists, some of them do, but most of them actually don't respect the kind of work that we are doing. And secondly, I do agree with what he said, that if everybody can be a little less serious. We love watching Jimmy Kimmel's show, right? But will our actors do what they do, what the actors do on their show?
Good point.
Will the same actors who go on those shows and do what they do there, do it for an Indian show?
Never.
I bet they won't.
Yeah.
Why this discrimination? They're so guarded when they're doing interviews with us. I think they suddenly become like a free bird. कि अच्छा चलो कुछ भी बोलते हैं, कुछ भी करते हैं. यहाँ पे भी करो फिर.
Well, guys, I've had an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Same here.
And we could have talked for so much longer as
I
well.
have just learned so much.
No, it's been amazing.
So many names to be dropped.
Nayandeep and Justin, thank you so much
I was
for
the
joining
only
me.
one naming, and I was not even having tea.
Yeah, no,
I
the
was
loads
the one-
of tea has been
Your
spilled
cappuccino
today.
had truth serum.
Loads of blind tea, I think, has been,
Been born
spilled
with one.
today. Thank you to everybody who's tuned into this episode as well. If you missed any of the episode or if you want to listen back to it, then please go to BBC Sounds and subscribe, download this episode and find lots of others as part of our Bollywood Uncovered series.
If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and click the bell icon to keep up to date. For more great audio and video from the BBC, listen on Sounds, watch on iPlayer.